So you would go that far? You would say that William despises Harry? Just give me a sense of the scale of anger that William feels towards his brother, Charlotte.
Well, the anger is so bad that it's got to a point where people can't even mention Harry's name in front of William. And in fact, William claims that he's not even angry with his brother because his brother is a non-person. He's gone beyond level 10 of anger up to level 11, where he just imagines the guy doesn't exist in the world. But he's going to have to face reality. He does have a brother.
Someone inside the palace just made a very dangerous promise. They vowed to fix the biggest royal feud in decades, and the only leverage they have is a dying king's final wish. Prince Harry and Prince William haven't spoken in years. That much the world knows. But what's happening behind the palace walls right now is something far more calculated, far more desperate, and it involves a man most people have never heard of. His name is Theo Richf, Oxford graduate, career diplomat, married into the aristocracy.
Well, there's this amazingly talented man called Theo Richf who is floating around in the palace now. He's second to Clive Alderton, who's the king's longest serving, really, right-hand man. And unlike Clive, who I think is an affable man, but is quite combative, let's say, whereas Charles isn't, Theo is this incredibly nice, sweet guy. And he sees it as his job to somehow protect the king by forcing William and Harry to shake hands with one another. How he will do that, I don't know, because he'll have to drag William kicking and screaming. But what they're saying is he is this incredible diplomat. He got William to meet with Donald Trump in Notre-Dame, and that actually went really surprisingly well, given that William's a climate, activist. And also he, of course, did the same thing with the state visit with Donald Trump and Charles. It went incredibly well. Do you remember all those speeches were so funny and gentle, but also pushed the right buttons at the right time in this incredibly subtle way, nuanced left and right? Well, that was all, the hand of Theo. So people are now saying in the palace, look, if he can do that, if he can pull off Trump and Charles, can he pull off William just shaking hands through gritted teeth with his brother so that the king can enjoy some peace while he's going through cancer in, let's face it, the latter years of his life.
And right now, he is the king's most quietly powerful new weapon, second only to Clive Alderton in the royal inner circle. But where Alderton is combative, Theo is something far more dangerous. He's charming, he's precise, and he has already pulled off the impossible once before. It was Theo who engineered the meeting between Prince William and Donald Trump at Notre-Dame, two men on opposite ends of the political spectrum. William, a climate activist, Trump, everything but. And somehow, Theo made it work. Then came the state visit, Charles and Trump on the world stage. The speeches hit every nerve perfectly. Funny, subtle, diplomatic. That was all Theo. So now the palace is asking a different question. If he could do that, can he force two estranged brothers to shake hands? Here's what you need to understand about the scale of this feud. It goes beyond anger. People inside the palace cannot even say Harry's name in front of William. Not because William will explode, but because to William, Harry no longer exists. He has moved past rage into something colder, something permanent. Sources say William actually grieved for his brother, went to Balmoral, sat with the loss.
I think plan A would be this summer, but more likely is plan B, because Harry's coming over twice. Once this summer to mark 1 year until the Invictus Games, and the second time for the actual Invictus Games in Birmingham next summer. So he's got a bit of a timeline to work with. And also, I suppose it depends how the king's health is doing as well. The sooner the better, I would say, for somebody who's got cancer. And, it's sad for him. He'd hate to kind of come towards the end of his life, hopefully in many, many years' time, knowing his two sons don't speak to each other. So there is a bit of a time frame, but I think it will have to be slowly catching on.
Like a death. And that grief has hardened into something that cannot easily be reversed. And then there's Meghan.
His brother does intend to come to the UK, especially in future years, because he may educate his son here. He is going to be around. Now, William, if he wants to, when he becomes king, he can strip Harry of his titles and try to pretend he's invisible. But for the time being, the king is the monarch, and the king is concerned about it and worried about it and doesn't need any more stress in his life. And that's why Theo, who's this Mr. Nice guy, is trying to work on a way in which they can at least be civil to one another, or at least William wouldn't be.
This is where Theo's mission gets almost impossible. Because even if Harry comes to the UK alone,
I think that's spot on. I really do think, and that's why William was so troubled. I heard when the row first happened, I heard he went up to Balmoral and basically grieved for his brother, a bit like after, when his mother died. He grieved for his brother because he felt he'd lost another incredibly close and important member of his family. So I think he does think they've ceased to be brothers.
And of course, a new book about Princess Catherine claims that William was sick with worry about what would be in the Oprah interview in the days leading up to that famous broadcast.
For the Invictus Countdown this summer, or the actual games in Birmingham next year.
I do think the Meghan problem is going to be Theo Rycroft's biggest stumbling block, because if Harry comes over this summer and next summer without Meghan, there is a chance the two men might shake hands. They did, after all, go to the unveiling of the Princess Diana statue together, and they actually faced away from one another for the unveiling, but they tolerated each other, and I just don't think William can tolerate the presence of Meghan in the room. So any handshake that goes on, I think, will have to be when Meghan is out walking the dog or taking the kids out for a stroll in the park. I just don't think it's going to happen, and she is quite, let's just say, involved, if we're not going to say controlling. So I just wonder whether she would allow William and Harry to have that time on their own, or whether she would try and kind of muscle in.
William will not be in the same room as Meghan Markle. Full stop. Any handshake that happens will have to happen without her in the building. The question everyone inside the palace is now asking quietly is, would she even allow it? The leverage Theo plans to use is the one thing William cannot argue against. His father is not well. Charles is battling cancer. He is a man watching the clock.
I honestly think Theo will have a job on his hands, but he is incredibly respected. So he's an Oxford graduate. He's very much in the aristocratic circles that William runs in, because he's married to Flora Astor. He's vaguely related to the Camerons. And, William respects him, does respect his opinion, not just because he's an aristo, but, he works at the Foreign Office. He's a career diplomat. He did pull off an amazing, Trump state visit with Charles recently. So he might listen to him. I think there is a chance. Yeah, I think there is a chance if anyone can do it. I think the mood in the palace, what I was hearing was, the mood in the palace was if anyone can do it, Theo can do it.
And his final wish, spoken or unspoken, is to see his sons in the same room before his time runs out. Theo's job is to make William feel the weight of that.
Yeah, that's another good point. The other thing that Theo just wants to do is get Charles and William to a point where they don't fall out because Charles has communicated or spoken to Harry and his grandchildren on the US side. And at the moment, I think what I'm hearing is that what happens is that whenever Charles reaches out to Harry or Harry reaches out to Charles, or there's any kind of communication, it really annoys William. And William goes off in a strop, and then tensions are developing between.
And it feels disloyal. William feels it's disloyal because he's the son who stayed and hasn't put a foot wrong.
To make him understand that saying no is not just stubbornness, it is something William will carry long after Charles is gone.
Yeah, I can see that, because William's been incredibly dutiful, and his wife had cancer, and he carried on carrying out his duties and doing the right thing and being respectful to the monarchy. And of course, Harry's done, nothing like that, and seems to want to have his cake and eat it. So I can quite see where William's coming from. Can Theo persuade William that yes, Charles does have a lot of gratitude towards William for being the dutiful one, for being the future monarch, but that doesn't negate the fact that he still wants some kind of communication with his.
The moment William becomes king, the gloves come off.
Well, first of all, I would just say I don't think that handshake between them is going to be in public. I think you might see Harry and Charles in public, but not William and Harry.
Really? Wow.
I don't think it will be in public. But I do think William will completely cut off Harry when he becomes king. I just do. I'm afraid even if there's a handshake, I think he'll strip him of that HRH title. He'll say, you're a not working royal. And by the way, Eugenie and Beatrice, you're out too.
Oh, and of course, that would have implications for Archie and Lily. Would they lose their prince and princess titles if that were to happen?
I think so. And I think William thinks that's a very good idea because they are future troublemakers. Look, they're only little children now. They're completely innocent. But the further away these royals are, the further outside of the court, the more danger they are. They could slip up. They could say the wrong thing. They could, we've seen this with Fergie. We've seen it with, obviously, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. I think William wants to have the very closest royal team as the monarchy, because then he can keep an eye on them and control them.